Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in for another episode. Sitting out here on a brisk November morning. I just got off the water. I spent a couple hours in between dropping off kids at school and picking up Duke at school around lunchtime. So I figured I would do a quick video on cold water cranks, one of my favorite ways to generate strikes during the cold water period. So when you're talking about 52-degree water temps or less, all the way down to ice up if you happen to live up north, crankbaits are one of those baits that can generate strikes. They still get reaction strikes in very cold water. They're just one of the few baits that seem to catch fish when you're talking about really cold water temperatures. But having said that, not all crankbaits excel during cold water periods. In my opinion, you're looking for a crankbait that has a much tighter wobble. Generally speaking, you're talking about skinnier profiles, and you're talking about baits that can get down into the strike zone but stay down at that depth and do not rise at a quick pace. So you're looking for a bait, that's almost a suspending type crankbait, but you want something that will back out of those rock jams or some of the areas that you're fishing. But you don't want a bait that's going to just rise a foot every time you stop it. You want to stop it and almost be able to keep that bait right in the strike zone. Keep it in front of the fish, because when they're cold and lethargic, a lot of times you're not getting really strong strikes. What happens is, you stop the bait, you start up again, and it almost feels like you reeled into a leaf or something. Your bait gets mushy, and then finally you feel a head shake. So they're not super aggressive strikes. But again, the crankbait's still a bait that will get them to strike it, whereas a lot of other baits can't generate those strikes. One of the keys about fishing a crankbait too is it's one of the few baits that allows you to fish a lot of those areas that the fish are going to be using this time of year. Your rock is going to be one of the best places to fish because rock absorbs heat and just holds that heat, and therefore the fish move into it. Your hard bottom areas are going to be a great place, and that's where your crankbaits really shine. If you're talking about some bigger rock flats, it's hard to fish those efficiently and effectively with a lot of bottom baits. You may have some great slow moving baits, but if you're getting snagged every other cast, it doesn't help you be efficiently fishing those areas. And a crankbait's one of those baits that allows you to cover a lot of water and find those areas where maybe you found a good concentration and you can slow down by dragging a jig or throwing a Ned rig or something that may allow you to pick off one or two more fish. But it's the crankbait that really brought you to that area in the first place. So I've got 4 baits that I really like to use during the cold water period. Before I get into those, I do want to remind you guys that if you're looking for a little bit of help on your local lakes, check out the lake breakdowns that I do at fishthemoment.com. Really good way. We break the lakes down into 4 different seasons and provide 40 waypoints for each of those seasons with a bunch of different patterns that you can utilize. Also, guys, if you want to support the channel, please use my Tackle Warehouse affiliate link when you're making tackle purchases. It's very much appreciated. All of the kickback from that goes right back into making content for you that hopefully helps you catch a few more fish just like this video. All right, so one of the baits, and I'll get right into it, is one of the ones I had tied on today. This is the Berkeley. This is the Klickin' Fritz side. So the Fritz side is the bait that I really like. The Klickin' one has a high-pitched rattle. And I was throwing that today because on the river that I live on, we got a bunch of rain over the last couple of days. And the water has come up and it's gotten dirty. So I like to throw the Klickin' Fritz side versus the regular Fritz side, which does not have a rattle, when the water is really dirty. But the Fritz side has really become one of the best cold water crankbaits out there. A lot of tournaments have been won on this bait. This is the Spring Crawl, one of my favorites. This one, which is a great smallmouth, is the Blaze color, another great one. But I really rotate back and forth between the regular Fritz side and the Klickin' Fritz side during the cold water periods. John Cox won Sam Rayburn, I think, 2 years ago, right when the Fritz side came out. I'm not even sure if it had been on the market yet, but he won down on Sam Rayburn, the big FLW event that was down there. It's just a proven bait at this point. Another proven one is the old Rapala Shad Rap. This has been proven to be one of the top cold water killer baits. You know, it's got that tight wobble, it's got that long profile, it's a balsa bait that does not rise too quick, and it just seems to be a very unintimidating bait for fish during cold water periods. This is definitely one of my go-tos anytime we're talking about waters that's in the low 50s or cooler. And you know, between the old Shad Rap and the Frigid, these two baits are really known as being great baits in cold water. Now I've got two others that I really like that you don't hear a whole heck of a lot talked about. One of them is the Megabass Flap Slap. This again is a similar profile bait, you know, to the other two baits I've talked about. You know, it's got that shad profile look, because remember, when you're talking about really cold water, the crayfish are almost completely out of the equation. Crayfish are hibernating at that point. They're not a main forage species, so the bass have really switched over to feeding on shad or bluegill or whatever other you know, forage species are in your lake outside of the crayfish. But the Flap Slap is another great bait. This is one that I think really excels with a what I call a sweeping retrieve, where you just pull it, stop it, you reel up your slack line, pull it, stop it, reel up your slack line. So you're using your rod to retrieve the bait versus your reel handle. But the Flap Slap's a proven cold water bait. We saw it really shine a few years ago. I believe it was the Classic on Grand Lake that Edwin Evers ended up winning. I think the first couple days, this is the bait that got him to the position where he could win that tournament. It's just a really good cold water bait. Has a very tight wobble, and just another one that I've caught a lot of fish on in cold water. The last one for you is another bait that doesn't quite fit the same profile design, but it's one that just seems to catch them really good in cold water. So this is the Duo Realis M65. So they got the M62 and the M65. The M62 is just a hair smaller profile. Ooh. So they got the M62, M65, and then they got the 5A, 8A, and 11A, which are all just slightly different diving models, similar to like how with the Frigid you've got the 5, 7, 9, but it's the M62 and the M65. This is a bait that I like to throw again in a little bit more off-colored water anytime you're talking about that cold water temperature. I'm not sure what it is about this profile of this bait that seems to work really well. You know, when a lot of other wider wobbling baits, because this is a pretty wide wobbling bait, won't get bit, this one seems to. I had a tournament on Grand Lake a few years ago where the water temp was in the low 40s. It was just it was a miserable tournament. There were very few fish caught. I caught every fish I had on this bait in this color. Might actually even have it here. I don't see it. I finished in the 30s in that tournament. Every fish I caught was on this bait, and it just worked really well. But it's a bait that we've seen a lot of guys. Roy Hawk kind of brought it to everyone's attention, fishing it on Martin Lake in Alabama at a Bassmaster Elite tournament that they kicked the season off there. And again, the water was in the 40s. It's one of those baits. Ever since I saw him use it, I put it into my arsenal and I caught a bunch of fish. This is one of my favorite colors. I don't know if I have the exact color of this one offhand. I'll put it up in the link for you, but it works really well. So those are the 4 cold water cranks, and I'm talking like 52 at the warmest period, or all the way up to ice up. Those seem to excel the best for me. You know, I really find very few instances where I cannot generate bites on one of those 4 baits. So hopefully it helps you guys. Share in the comment section what cold water cranks you like to use so that the rest of us can learn from you guys as well. I would love to know if you've had success on any of these, or if you've got other ones that you tend to go to. So thanks for watching, guys. If you enjoyed the video, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Stay tuned. We'll have a new video coming out tomorrow for you.